Playing gun shows just right there on national TV. Yeah, man, we're gonna do whole operation.
Okay. All right, we'll call a meeting to order, 5:31 p.m. And Stacy's not here this evening, so Blake, you're the last one to come in. Would you lead us in a prayer?
We actually have Linda here. Yeah.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay.
I'm Linda Breckenridge. I'm the pastor at the Presbyterian Church.
Oh, well, great, man. Great. Good.
No worries. No worries. Would you pray with me? Lord in heaven, we come before you offering our thanks for bringing us together safely. Sometimes it's easy to forget that our safe arrival and our departure is a grace from you. As we prepare for this meeting, we ask that you would be with us. May all thoughts be led by you and all conversations be inspired by you. Help to put personal agendas to the side and to seek your will and outcome for this meeting. Please grant wisdom in times of uncertainty and clarity in times of confusion. Lead to solutions and help these commissioners and officials and strengthen them as a group. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome. No problem. You guys have a great meeting. I'm gonna let y'all do the business. It's been blessed.
All right. Good. All right. Everybody signed up to speak?
There's no.
Okay. All right, we'll go down to staff report, turn it over to the city manager and just go from there, Cynthia.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. A couple of things I did want, I've mentioned some of these things before, I believe, but I wanted to mention them again. We are working on an RFP for general street maintenance that would be a complement to our street department. And essentially that we're going out for bid right now, and that will be on the agenda for March for you guys to award that. And the idea is to have them on hand to do repair work, base failures, help with pothole repairs, drainage issues. I mean, right now, even fully staffed, we have 5 in our street department, fully staffed. And we have 2 right now in our street department, so we're not fully staffed. But this will be good for them to come alongside and really kind of fill in some of the gaps and make some noticeable improvements in our roads over the next couple of years. So we're working on that, and just want to let you know that will be on your agenda in March or February, right? February already. And then I wanted to give you an update on the lift station. That project is ongoing. It's actually 90% complete. So just as a reminder, this is an upgrade at the lift station out at the prison, and contractor is Dowtech. The cost for that, which was budgeted, you guys budgeted for that, is $264,000 and some change. The notice to proceed was given July 18th. And we had some issues with supply chain issues and equipment and delivery of some products that we needed. So the first change order extended that final contract completion to March 30th. And we're on track to meet that. And they are scheduling basically turning on the pump and making sure everything's working, and then working on the punch list. So again, 90% complete, and we'll I mean, at this point, I'm fairly certain we'll meet that.
That goes back a pretty long way. They've had trouble out there in the past, so this is something that's needed had to be done.
Yeah, yeah,
Good
and
deal.
Robert has been doing a great job on the project management, working with the contractor out there and keeping that project going. So
Good.
Doing a good job out there. The other thing, I wanted to give you an update, and I know you had asked about it, but Ms. Hayworth was here and talked about an issue with a hole in her alley. And so that project, what had happened, what's happening on a lot of these projects is we've got our crews that are starting, but then we get called off for something else, and we have water leaks, sewer issues all over. And so they're really trying to get their resources out there and do what they need to do. But one of the things that happened with this particular project is the size of the pipe. And Robert, it was, what size was it?
Houston ordered a pipe for a 10-inch line. And everybody waited for it to come in, turned out to be 8-inch, but we had the parts. But by that time, we had gotten up so busy on leaks and other stuff. They just, and it wasn't bothering nobody except her. Like everything was running, and they just get put back in the back burner because it wasn't a loss to anybody, so to speak. So we finally got it done last Friday, got in there, and we got it covered up.
So she's aware that everything's been done then, right?
She knew I was working. I told her we don't get done that day. I talked to her Friday morning. I said, we'll get this done today. I said, we'll get it back as good as we can. We might have to come back and do some cleanup later because it's wet.
Yeah.
But yes, she should be aware. I'm sure she's seen it already.
I'm sure, yeah, good deal, Robert, that's good, yeah.
So I just wanted to give you an update. I had kind of given that to Commissioner Hamilton, but I want to make sure everybody knew, especially since she was here, and that unfortunately had been going on for a while. The other thing you'll see in there is the quarterly financial report. You'll see that in there. TechStop was going to be here. Jordan Perry was going to be here. But unfortunately, he got called away and is not going to be. I think there's been some movement, and I think I've shared this with most of you, but they are working on that takeover agreement, which is, the bonding company is getting a contractor on board. They just don't have it signed yet. They think it'll be signed in the next 30 to 60 days. And then they'll have a schedule for moving forward.
We were talking about earlier today, and I meant to tell you, I've been in contact with that meeting, our state representative, he was there.
Yeah.
And I got to speak to him just a few minutes, and I think he's been doing what he could for us, but nothing moves fast like that. So, but this is so far past due that, yeah, maybe we can get something going again, I hope.
And I told him, I said, listen, they're wanting you, you guys are hearing it a lot, we hear it, of the city. But you guys are hearing it a lot in the community, and I did send him, I worked up a fact sheet that we're gonna get out on social media and on our website, but I wanted to run it by them because it's actually their project, make sure they were kosher, and so he's gonna be sending that back, hopefully. I was hoping I'd have that by now, but because I'd like to at least get that out there so people know kind of the who, what, when, and where, and the update as we know at this point.
We can only hope and keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Get something going.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal.
So that is it for the city business. You'll see the upcoming events that we have. They're all listed up there. We do have bulk pickup, and they need to be registered by this Friday. You can go online and register for bulk pickup, which is nice. You can still call us, of course, but nice to be able to just go online and do that. The final day, and Jessica will be talking more about this on an agenda item, but for an application for a place on the ballot is on the 17th, which is a week from next Friday. City offices will be closed in observance of President's Day. We do have the cemetery cleanup, and you've got that information in your packet. I know the newspapers have put out some information on that. I think, have we put out a post yet on that?
Not on Facebook.
Okay, we'll put out a Facebook post on that as well. And then, on strategic planning, so, the next step, staff did their thing, you guys did your thing a week ago or so. And then we're gonna have the public workshop on strategic planning on February 27th, Monday. Of course, you guys can show up, but what we'll do is we'll have stations by department. And it will be very interactive. We'll have questions up there and they can fill out sticky notes and answer those questions. And then we'll compile that information. We'll probably do a survey as well, like Survey Monkey. Just to try to reach as many people as we can. We'll compile that information. And this is going to be more looking at what what they see as the needs in each department, what each department's doing well, those types of, broad questions. So we can look at developing goals and objectives going forward on this next meeting that you all will have with the community members, and that will be in March. So that's where we're at with that. Monday, February 2017, 5:30 to 7:30. It'll be held at the chamber. It'll be come and go, and we'll have staff there facilitating everything. And I think that's it for my report.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Item 3. Presentation of Chamber of Commerce 2022 Annual Report and Hotel Motel Quarterly Report.
Here I am, yeah. I'm trying to follow along with your stuff as best I can. Thank you. And it'll be that. So I brought just a few things. The first item or the first thing that is on the screen, I think, is so that's the last quarter of 2022, kind of like the budget that we had, but I actually have the whole year's budget. I just sent that last quarter, but basically it's just letting you know what we do with the money and how we use it for our events and things that we got going on. The last quarter of last year, of course, we had the lights and everything. So the next photo there. Oh, well, no, that's fine. That's fine. So I'll go ahead and jump into this. A lot of what we use the money for is for advertisements and things like that. And so this is actually something that we had for last year, 2022. I think there's 4 of you. And everybody actually, I have a lot of books, so everybody gets one today. Yay. So this is actually, you can grab one. So, and I think you guys had a whole bunch of these.
Yeah.
So these are 2022, and what you're looking at is it's TMCN, it's a Texas Midwest Community Network. And it's a network that we partnered with, that we are members of, that just has our information in this book. So a lot of the membership in this book, everyone has our information about Breckenridge, and we're on page 24, I think. So 28. Yeah, so that's kind of what it is. And what you're looking at there is actually our 2023. And so for our book next year, that's going to be coming in here this month, you'll see that. And so that's what you'll see for 2023. And then the QR codes there on this page here, it's going to give them information about all of our chamber members. And then the other QR codes are for the city. And so you guys are on that book. And so that's what that is. And that's what we utilize some of the money for. And then the next one there, that of course is our Christmas tree. Thank you all so much. You guys were all part of this. So this was really exciting. So we used some of the money to do our Christmas lighting. Well, you guys donated a portion of that. And of course the lighting, and I think the next picture. So all those lights down there. So next year, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our mingle jingle as usual in November. And so instead of doing just the Christmas lighting, we're gonna actually have the whole town gonna light it all at once.
No,
So-
I was gonna tell you, I've had, since the Christmas holidays, I've had several people let me know, they like having the lights on at night like that on the building. It just adds so much to it, you know?
Yeah, and it's.
And did y'all rent a dadgum storage building to put the Christmas
We
tree in?
did.
I told y'all could have the YMCA.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Oh my gosh, let's go get it out right now. Okay.
I think with the girl,
Thank you for telling
if
me
you
that.
ever need it, seriously,
Yes,
it would put it in the, for the gym.
Oh,
is.
yeah.
And I don't know what y'all are paying for the rent on it.
Something I don't want.
I won't charge you any more than they are.
Okay.
But really, if you ever need to do it, whatever.
I appreciate that.
just-
Thank you
just
so much.
Give us
Yeah.
a holler.
So that's what, we have it in storage right now. So we have it until
Okay,
the end of the year is what we,
okay.
but anyway. So, and the next thing there, so this is a mission statement. Of course, everybody, well, not everybody knows it, but this is our mission statement for the chamber. And so it's the Breckenridge Chamber of Commerce is an organization of businesses and individuals that work to promote the area by developing a strong and vibrant economy through business advocacy leadership that's creating a better quality of life. So the next slide there, all of everything that we have for our events, like for the year, we take a look at our mission statement and we look to see how we can incorporate that in each of our events. And so this is just a list of things that we have for 2023. The dates are pretty much set in stone. There's a few things that we got to look as far as scheduling in the community because we never want to overlap with other things. And so the board, we got together and we talked about what it might look like for 2023 as far as these events. So these are the events that are set for 2023. The next thing here is our core values. So with our events and everything that we're doing, we take a look at our core values, we match it to what our mission statement is. And so the next thing here is what does the chamber do? So I started 4 months ago, so I had to really find out what do we do, you know, because I knew that from a community member, I knew that there was events that the chamber does, but as far as like the inner workings and everything, you know, I had to kind of study that. So that's just something that I keep before me and in front of me as we do our events and our community things. And the next thing here is the Breckenridge Become. And so that is because when I took over the Become logo and the Become campaign was already set in motion. And I wanted to find out truly what it meant going forward with the new staff. And so my staff and I, and when I say my staff, it's with me and Debbie. So it's us two. We got together and we talked about our core values and what we wanted to do going forward for 2023. And so that's what we came up with. So Become is an acronym. And so it stands for businesses, which we promote businesses to help them prosper with our community events and different things that we do throughout the year. And then economy, of course, developing a strong and vibrant economy. And that might sound familiar because it comes from our mission statement. The next thing is community. So building unity through businesses, advocacy, and leadership. Again, that's a line from our mission statement. And opportunity, just dreaming big for our town. I just left another meeting, the BDDC meeting, you know, and it's just a group of people. Blake is in that board. It's just a group of people just dreaming big for a community. And so the last thing there is members, serving and supporting membership. And that's one of the things that the chamber does is we take a look at who's in our membership. We ask them, how are they doing? We kind of gauge if there's anything that we kind of dropped the ball on last year or whatever. We ask, how can we make it up? How can we help? Or just other things like that. Today, I visited, I think, about 5 members today, delivering our anniversary gifts and just being able to have that face-to-face conversation and asking them how they're doing is really, really helpful for us to just put a face to the business. And that's kind of the heart I'm working with, is just wanting to not just know that there's businesses in membership as far as numbers, but there's actual humans behind the businesses. And that's kind of where the angle that we're going in. So that's it.
I went by, was it you or somebody called me about 2 weeks
Yes,
ago?
yeah, I have called you.
I went by and got my
Yeah.
anniversary gift,
Wonderful.
but I didn't find any Super Bowl tickets. in
I'm
there.
so sorry. You must have got
And
the
I
wrong
didn't
one.
even find any free meal tickets. in
That's
there, but
Debbie's fault.
But well, listen, I like this, a great place to be any time of the year. I like it.
And it
like it.
truly is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys got anything you need?
Oh, any questions?
Just anything?
Okay.
Nothing?
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, consent agenda, commissioners read through each agenda item and make a motion after review unless you would like to take an item up for individual consideration. And you may have already had a chance to look at it, so whenever you get ready, y'all want to, approve or deny, we'll go from that standpoint. That will cover 4 through 7.
I move we approve consent agenda items 4 through 7 as presented.
Okay, motion is second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Thank you, guys. Public hearing items, number 8, public hearing to discuss a proposed amendment to chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinance to update regulations pertaining to signs and to adopt those sign regulations as a separate chapter in the code. So,
We need to open the public hearing up.
all right, we'll open, yeah, 5:50,
And I do not have anyone signed up to speak for the public hearing,
okay,
so. close
okay.
it whenever you're ready.
So nothing to do with that point then with it.
Yeah, now you just close it,
Ma'am,
then you just close the public hearing.
it's open and closed then.
All right.
No action taken on it. Action items, item 9. Discuss and consider approving ordinance 2023-03, amending chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances to update regulations pertaining to signs and adopt those sign regulations as a separate chapter in the code. And,
So Mayor, I'll just give you a brief rundown on what's happened thus far. So this has been going on actually since a little bit before I got here. And when I got here, I talked with Malcolm and Christie about the need to update our sign ordinance specifically for the business district. And so we talked to some folks out in the community. We talked with the Downtown Development Council as well, got some input. And really what our goal was to try to streamline that ordinance because it was just very confusing. It was very wordy and it was not very clear. And so we looked at some other cities' central business district sign ordinances. And that's what we kind of came up with is what you see before you. It went to, so a public hearing was held at P&Z. Essentially what they've done is they've looked at it and they heard it and they recommended to the commissioner to approve the changes as presented. So that's the recommendation before you now. And what this will also do is, remove it from the zoning and put it in the regular municipal ordinance section.
all right. Any questions for her? Not? Have a motion on that?
I move to approve ordinance 2023-03, amending chapter 22 zoning of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances to update regulations pertaining to signs and to adopt those sign regulations as a separate chapter in the code.
Second, motion second, all in favor? None opposed, thank you. Item 10, discuss and any necessary action in regard to a master lease agreement between the city of Breckenridge and the Enterprise FN Trust to provide fleet management solutions. And this I like that we were talking, go ahead. I'll
Yeah.
turn it back over to city.
So I think, I'm excited to bring this before you guys for your consideration. Staff has been talking with Enterprise and he's here, he's gonna present it, but and I'll let him kind of state the case, but essentially what this is gonna do is really give us a holistic approach to approaching our fleet maintenance, which it's been very disjointed. So at the end of the day, it's gonna save us money. It's gonna improve our community image. And there's some other benefits too, but if you wanna come up here and introduce
Absolutely.
yourself and
All right, well, first and foremost, thank you for having me, council, and I have to say thank you to city leadership. Jessica, Cynthia, Diane, Lacey, all the departments, chief of police that have been involved in this from the beginning, right? Had to consult with everybody to make sure that this is a good fit for what they need and that they get the vehicles that they need with the equipment that's required to do the job. So we've done that. I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Rami Saad. Been with Enterprise for a little over 10 years. Quick background on the company. A lot of people know us as the Rent-A-Car company, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The actual parent organization is Enterprise Holdings, owns Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Fleet Management, and a lot of other companies underneath as well. And altogether, we have around 2 million vehicles under our operation worldwide. That makes us the largest operator, purchaser, and seller of vehicles in the world. And the benefit to our city clients, and we work with cities, counties, ISDs, and all government agencies, nonprofits, you name it, is that we've got a lot of experience managing the different transactions and the strategy behind fleet, right? And everybody, I think, can relate to when you go rent a car. It's not usually older than a year to 2 years old. And that's not because we just want to spend the money on new vehicles. It's because we figured out what works and we figured out the most cost-effective way to manage a fleet. And so we take that blueprint, we apply it to your fleet. And we've been doing this for cities now for quite some time. And we look at the cost impact as well as the operational impact of doing something like this. So I'm going to walk you through it. You'll see as I walk through the packet that I have, you'll see it reflected behind me here. And I'm happy to answer any questions along the way. So the situation, pretty straightforward. Cynthia spoke about it, but looking for a solution to lower the total cost, improve safety, reliability, image, and provide consistency to the fleet budget. To give you a sense of what's going on high level with the fleet today, your strategy is no different than any other city that we've partnered with in the past, which is they buy vehicles, they hold them as long as they possibly can. Once they crap out, you replace it and you just continue to do that over time. And the only reason you do it is there's no other good reason to do it other than maybe you feel it's the most cost-effective way to manage the fleet. It's the best use of capital funds is to wait until it goes out. And I'll show you why that's not necessarily the case. And so as a result of that, you look at where the fleet's at today. 50% of it is 10 years old or older. The police department now at the moment has about 4 patrol vehicles that are out of service. Something that we're going to address in the plan. To keep it simple, older vehicles have higher fuel costs. They're more costly to maintain. They're less reliable. They lack safety features that are becoming standard in new vehicles. And at the end of the day, not quite as efficient as you want them to be. And then, like we talked about, leads to an inconsistent and a reactive fleet budget. And reactive is a key word. We want to be proactive and we want to make decisions on when to replace vehicles, not allow the vehicles to dictate when they're replaced, which is they get broken down and now we replace it. So the objective is in 4 categories: to lower cost, make it more convenient for the operators and for the city to manage it, improve safety, image, reliability, and then ultimately give you more control and transparency than you have today. So I'm going to break down the section starting with cost. You're going to use some of our technology, and what we've already done and proposed in the plan is identified the right time to cycle the different vehicles that are in your fleet based on purely cost. You're going to utilize an open-end lease structure to finance the vehicles as the funding mechanism that is going to allow you to maintain ownership and complete control of the fleet. And when you sell it, when you buy it, you have complete control. And ultimately, it's going to maximize tax dollars, right? And maximize the capital budget that you normally set aside for the fleet. I want to talk about the open-end lease very quickly because some people don't like the word lease. This is not like your lease at a dealership, right? Where you have restricted mileage, there's wear and tear charges, you don't have any equity in the fleet. The way I would think about this is it's a partial finance. So we're taking the vehicle, we're financing it down to a book value. So there's a payoff balance at the end. Once we sell it, we cover the balance. There's positive equity left over. That equity is yours. There are no mileage restrictions, no charges for wear and tear. It's just as if you own the vehicle. It's strictly used as a cash flow tool so that your capital dollars go further. Moving forward to convenience, easy to use program from sourcing vehicles to disposal. We're going to proactively and strategically target vehicles for replacement. You're going to use our purchasing infrastructure and economies of scale to drive down the purchase price of vehicles. Big benefit is that you get to tap into our team and our network of 700 remarketers that we use to sell our rental vehicles when they come out of service to pick up and sell your vehicles Even with an inflated resale market, I think a lot of people at this point know that the supply of vehicles has been pretty constrained. So pricing has gone up, and used vehicle pricing was up 30%. And even in that, we outperformed the industry by about 10 to 12% from a resale standpoint. So we are the best at what we do in terms of disposing of vehicles, and we'll take care of that on your behalf. We're going to streamline maintenance by using Enterprises program and technology. And then something that's lacking today, we're going to implement a process to automatically track total cost of ownership per vehicle. And that's going to significantly improve visibility into the fleet expenses and allow for better reporting to council and better reporting to the tax base and to the community. Safety, image, reliability speaks for itself, right? You lower the age of the fleet, that's an automatic benefit and improvement there. And then of course, increased control. And I think you'll see more about that when I talk about some of the technology and the resources that come with the program that are going to give you more transparency into expenses and overall control. So the result of all of this, we've compiled some of the internal data on what it's costing you to operate the way that you're operating today. We've looked at the capital and the operating budget and determined here's on average how much we spend maintaining and owning and operating the fleet. And through the partnership, through the proposed plan, we're looking at a little over $300,000 in savings over 10 years. It's not absolutely groundbreaking, but any dollar saved is important. And at the same time, we're cutting the age of the fleet in half. On average, you hold vehicles for 10 years. We're going to cycle them out every 5. So you're not going to be driving anything older than 5 years in this case. And if you look at the operating expenses, which is where you're going to make the most impact, and at a reduction in fuel expense by a little under 30%, and more importantly, maintenance spend by a little over 60%, which accounts for a significant amount of the savings.
Is that included in your 333,000?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to break out the operational. The next thing we'll look at, and we can get as granular as you like. I'm going to go high level overview here, but what you're looking at is the replacement plan. So on the left side, you've got your fleet as it stands today. The replacement year is when we're targeting it for replacement. Bulk of the fleet we're looking at replacing this year, a handful the following year, and then we've got a vehicle that's straggling in 2027. We've consulted with the departments, so the vehicles that are selected to replace the current fleet are vehicles that they've approved. We're using the same outfitter that you use today. We're equipping it with the same aftermarket equipment that you're equipping it with today as well. And we've got that cost factored into there. And you'll see the last column is the estimated cycle going forward, 60 months, and that is the plan, is to turn these over every 5 years. The way that feeds into the cost analysis, I'll bring your attention first to the current line that's highlighted yellow. That's the current plan. Okay, on average, you replace about 3 vehicles a year. We've quantified the capital budget associated with that. We've quantified your fuel and maintenance spend. That tells us that you spend about $400,000 a year on average to manage the fleet the way you're doing it now. So as we made our recommendations over the next 10 years, we quantified the cost of the proposed plan, compared the cost going forward to your current expenses, and that's how we came up with the $300,000 over 10 years. And you can see it's cash flow positive from day one.
Yeah.
Questions there before I move on?
Is there, is there any, what upfront cost would it be to the city if we go this route? Is there any upfront cost it going? I mean, or?
The only upfront cost is as it relates to the down payment on the outfitting. So the patrol outfitting and some of the other things that we put on the vehicles. And so if you look on towards the middle of the model, you'll see upfront capital and equipment. The $27,000 in 2023. That's an upfront cost, but then if you move to the right under the equity column where you see 93,000, that's the equity that you currently have in the 23 vehicles that we're planning to replace. So what most cities do is they take that 93,000 to offset $27,000 upfront. You still have some cash left over.
Yeah.
You can either take that back as a check, that's your equity, or you can roll it into the vehicles as a down payment, and it'll ultimately, that's your equity, so it stays in the fleet and you lower your payments along the way. So we've sort of covered and vetted this out and made sure that it works within the budget constraints, even if vehicles deliver in this fiscal year.
So this be something, if approved tonight, you and the city manager would then get together and work the details from that point.
Absolutely, yes,
What's the, you mentioned 23 vehicles,
yes.
right? And most of them are this year, 2023.
Mhm.
What would be the timing of actually getting those two Breckenridge outfitted and all that?
Good question. It's a tough environment. We're not immune to that. We're working with the same manufacturers that everybody works with, Ford, Chevy, Ram. What I've told city leadership is I'm showing you an ideal plan. Whether we can execute it by the end of this fiscal year is up to the manufacturer. So we're going to do our best. If we have the ability to order a vehicle, we're going to order it direct from the manufacturer. A lot of the half-ton trucks that we're putting in service, they have a lead time of about 6 months right now. So what I told city leadership is between 4 to 6 months, expect some trucks to start rolling in. Patrol Tahoes are very difficult, as the chief can attest to himself, in terms of locating and actually having them come in. But we've got a network of different dealers and outfitters that have pools of Patrol Tahoes that we could pull from. But ultimately, we only want to address immediate needs with out of dealer inventory vehicles. We would prefer to order it when it opens up because the cost advantage is significant. So to answer your question, the 23 vehicles, I would say in the next 12 to 18 months that we're going to execute on that.
Get it up to where we need it.
Yeah, the vehicles are going to deliver at different intervals, and I would say within 12 to 18 months, we'll have these 23 vehicles taken care of.
Okay.
Anything else there
Any question, guys?
on the?
And they'll be like, not wrapped or they'll have like Breckenridge labeling. all that
Yes,
stuff.
exactly
That's
the
all.
way that they're set up today is how we've set them up in the model. And like I said, we're using the same outfitter, I think it's Land, I get it wrong every time, Land Communications, to do the outfitting for the Tahoes and some of the other departments as well.
Is the city tied into this from a 10-year standpoint? Is it something you sign once a year, or
Good
can
question.
we back out? if
Absolutely
necessary?
not. No, you're not tied into it from a 10-year standpoint. I just want to show you how this works out over the next
Okay.
10 years from a budget perspective. If you don't like it after 6 months, let's say you receive a batch of vehicles and for some reason it's just not working, you stop buying vehicles through us. You finish payments on the handful that came in, we sell them, we give you the money, and you go back to doing it the way that we did.
Okay.
So no long-term contract whatsoever.
Okay.
The only thing I would say there is when it comes to a fleet replacement program, which is what this is, right? It's just getting a coordinated fleet replacement program in place. It is something that if you're interested in, I mean, we need to try to stick with it over time,
Right.
because that's part of where the benefit comes from, is over time, having a vehicle that's replaced every 5 years versus every 10. A big benefit, there's a lot of benefits I could say, talk to, and who's already talked to them, but I think from internally, just keeping track of maintenance. That's something, yes, we can do, but it's very time consuming. And just in my short time here, I can tell you that we are spending an inordinate amount of money
Yes.
on maintaining
Yeah.
vehicles that maybe were bought even used. But we don't have a system in place that is easily tracking that. And so tracking all of the maintenance is going to be huge. Of course, when you only keep it for 5 years, there's not a lot of maintenance in that first 5 years, which is why a lot of warranties are, 3 to 5 years.
You may get there, but it does come with like a maintenance tracking software.
Yeah, so let's move to the next. Really quick, we have a case study in here that we did on the city of Fredericksburg. Of course, we're partnering with a lot of other cities you'll see towards the end. But a similar tune, right? Not much different than what I'm showing you. A major impact to maintenance lowered by 80%. They're on a 5-year replacement plan. They've saved about $60,000 over the last 2 replacement years. And so it's coming along fairly nicely. You'll see a comment from their programs manager. They're a little bit bigger, 75 vehicles, but a vehicle is a vehicle, and the way that you manage it is very similar. So we do have that out there. The next page talks about the resources. To your note, one of the most important parts of the partnership is I'm not going to just be here one time and then it's up to you to manage it. You guys are going to have a dedicated strategy manager that meets with city leadership about 3 to 4 times a year. They look at strategic planning. What should we replace next year? How's that going to impact the budget? If the resale market is doing something, whether it's down or up, we may recommend that you hold on to vehicles longer, or we may recommend that you sell them sooner. Again, you're in full control of whether you do it or not. We're going to make continuous recommendations year over year. And one of those meetings is making sure that we're hitting the numbers that we told you we would hit. So it is a very continuous type of partnership, not just something that we're going to prove in the first year. And then technology, really one of the biggest pieces of the technology is the dashboard. All of the expenses are going to feed into here, from fuel, maintenance. We're going to track it on a per vehicle basis. You're going to have oversight provided by some of our technicians, ASE certified technicians on maintenance as well. And anytime we're going to continue to use local shops, but once a vehicle gets service done, that invoice uploads to the website, is assigned to that vehicle, and you're going to have complete transparency into those expenses per asset, as it should be. And the big thing about this is this allows your strategy manager to look at the data, put some things together as they make recommendations, so that the focus is always about cost, right? Lowering cost.
With the police vehicles, how many do you have running right now?
6,
Okay. 4 of them down.
down 6 total.
Okay.
Got 4 down, 2 total.
Yeah. Say we get a vehicle in and 6, 8 months, 9 months down the road, it gets totaled, officers chasing somebody, whatever it happens. What does that do to what? How's that handled through you all?
It's not necessarily handled through us. What would you do? I would think of what you would do
Just what
today.
we'd normally
It's what you would
do.
normally do. You would go to the insurance company and we would go through those types of procedures.
Okay.
Nothing changes there.
Okay. I
Yeah,
see.
nothing.
Okay.
That answered the question
Yeah.
on the technology, the tracking, some of the things there. The last slide, last page. Oh, that's okay. I can talk about some of the references. This is a handful of our city partners today, and I'll name some of them: Anna, Joshua, Mount Pleasant, Bedford, Alvarado, Justin, Haltom City, Colleyville, White Settlement, Kaufman, Commerce, Willow Park, Denison, Palestine, Melissa, Waxahachie, Keller, Pantego, Lake Worth, Everman, and there's others in Texas that's just mainly focused on DFW and the radius out. And then we had some specific references there: city managers, CFOs, finance directors, chiefs of police that we provided to city leadership as well. And then the last thing is the cooperatives. This has been vetted out through RFPs that we've won with some of the largest purchasing cooperatives in Texas. All of our city governments piggyback off of TIPS TAPS RFP and that cooperative. And then we also have Sourcewell, which is a popular one as well, but we'll be utilizing TIPS for this. That is all I have. Happy to answer questions.
On those figures that you posted,
Yes, sir.
does that include your fees, or is that just what we're saying?
Yeah, that includes everything. We make money with a management fee that's built into the payment. So in the column where you see lease finance, it's built into that column. We are a for-profit. We have to make money, and our goal is, save you more money than we make, and that's again the reason we put the model together the way that we do.
I'm curious, just how long has this program been going on as far as cities, counties?
I would say about 10 to 15 years. We've got partners in the city space that are 10 to 15 years.
Yes, sir. I
Current clients.
just wonder why working percent has been here about 6 months tops now.
5.
I just wonder why maybe it wasn't brought to us from the other city managers or something.
Yeah, and we word of mouth that way has helped us get into different cities, and we were headquartered in Irving, so we've worked our way out slowly, and we're here now.
Is a GPS like tracking involved in your,
I haven't put it in the numbers. We partner with a telematics company called Geotab. And they are plug and play devices. So if that's something we wanted to explore, again, that's vetted through the RFP too. It's a part of it. So we could always look at that in the future. And it could be a solution that we bring to the table as well.
Questions, any more, anything? Nothing, we'll entertain a motion of good or bad, left or right, anybody don't want to go.
I move to approve a master lease agreement between the city of Breckenridge and Enterprise FM Trust to provide fleet management solutions and authorize city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor? Thank you, we'll just wait on her then, see
All right.
what we got going.
Thank you very much, council. We're gonna meet in the morning. I'm gonna make my trek back to the DFW. Thank you so much for your time. Y'all have a blessed evening.
Drive
Thank
careful.
you. Yes, thanks. Cynthia.
Watch out for deer and hogs.
I have the brights on. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll move to item 11, discussion and any necessary action regarding the emergency budget amendment for park drain line replacement. And, we'll turn it back over to Cynthia and let her
So,
explain.
yeah, Mayor and Commissioners, what this is, and I know I explained it to you earlier, essentially in, the park, right, you know, where the low water crossing bridge goes, on, Walker. There's a drainage area to the east and the creek is to the west. And there's a culvert that goes to drain the water from the low water into the creek. We had basically some sinkholes form and some of the pipe was damaged. And so what this does, it replaces that culvert. And we got 2 bids. The low bid is in the packet. You see the pictures up there of what it looks like. You guys did authorize me to process, emergencies over 20, under, 25 and under. This is 33 is what the low bid was. The other one came in at like 45, 47. So we'll bring back, budget amendments for you when we're bringing back some other ones, but this is asking for your authorization to, make these improvements, which will, we didn't budget for this, but we'll increase the water.
Just gotta be fixed. Any question, guys? Anything?
I'm just happy that it says Gonzalez. They're out
I don't think I misspelled it.
there. Whenever I got on city commission, everybody said, well, what axe are you there to grind? I'm like, it's like Daniel with no S and it's Gonzalez. So that's it, that's the whole.
I'm ready to go in case anybody questioned me, like, this is really what it is.
She came to me and she said, are you sure? And I'm like, I looked it up and I know we've been saying Gonzalez, but it's, but anyway. Yeah. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I move to approve emergency budget amendment for local proposal to Mendoza backhoe service and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
A second.
Motion and second, all in favor? None approved. Thank you again, guys. Item 12, discussion and any necessary action on resolution 23-03, authorizing the continued participation with the steering committee of the city served by Encore. And again, we'll turn it back over to Cynthia.
So this comes to you guys every year. We participate as a coalition of cities and I mean, in the future, we can put this on the consent if you desire, but basically, it's 10 cents per capita. And they're essentially a lobbying group, if you will, advocating on behalf of cities.
Nothing new there.
Right. I mean, you guys, we've been doing this for most cities, a lot of cities are involved in this.
Move to approve resolution 2023-03 as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Okay. We'll move to item 13. Discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of ordinance 2023-02, ordering a municipal general election to be held May the 6th, 2023 for the purpose of electing the officers of Commissioner Place 3 and Commissioner Place 4.
So every year we come to you to have you basically call the election. It will be on May the 6th, which is the first Saturday of May. Commission place 3 and 4 are going to be up for election. Vince Moore and Gary Marshall are going to be incumbents there. We do have, of course, like I said, election day would be May 6th. Early voting will be held May 24th to the 28th, and May 1st and 2nd here at City Hall. And then on May 6th, that will be held at the Breckenridge ISD Athletics and Fine Arts Facility, as long as they hold their election, as long as they have an election. Last day to file for a place on the ballot is next Friday, the 17th. And following that, on the 27th, we will have a drawing for a place on the ballot. So this ordinance is just to call that election. If there was nothing, if there was no incumbents or anything, then we could cancel that.
Okay.
Move to approve ordinance 2023-02, ordering a municipal general election to be held on May 6, 2023, for the purpose of electing the offices of Commissioner Place 3 and Commissioner Place 4.
All right. Motion is second.
Or
All in favor? Item 14, discussion and any necessary action regarding EMS contract.
So, Mayor and Commissioner, you all know the story here, I believe. I've talked about it, it's been in the paper, of course. Normally, the hospital contracts with the EMS provider, which has been AMR. And the contract is coming up in April, and so they were soliciting bids. AMR did not bid. They were saying they couldn't provide that service, and the other Sacred Cross did. And so that changeover is going to precipitate an increase in the amount. That initial contract is between the hospital and the provider, but then we partner with the hospital and the county and the city, and we all pay a third. Included in that, and it's going to be an increase from what we budgeted, so we will be bringing back a budget amendment, but included in that is the facilities as well, and that's 4,400, our portion of the annual rent.
How much is it? Do we know?
4,400 annual for the rent, our share.
Right.
So our share for the EMS is like 83.33.
Yeah.
And basically 300,000 annually, 100,000. So bi monthly it's 83.33. And then the monthly rent.
That's a lot.
So annually it's 104. When we have this year, what we included in the budget was 91,666. So we'll be bringing back, the delta of that, which is basically there's 63, I believe, 63, 66 will be the budget amendment we'll bring back to you. But this is approval of the agreement between the 3 entities that are sharing the cost for EMS services.
I know one year, I think it's the first year I was on, 4 or 5 years now, whatever it was. I don't remember who was doing what for, the ambulance service. But we asked them to bring an itemized list. We wanted to see where they wanted a bunch more money. I know it cost. And I may have this wrong, well, I wish Rob was here, he would know for sure. They come back with about 2 paragraphs of all, that really didn't make, and I don't recall what was, we ended up passing it because they've got to have the money. We can't say no, for mistakes. But as we get a little closer, I'll get with you, just kind of look at it a little closer.
Well, and I will say I believe I put both agreements, the agreement with the hospital and Sacred Cross in your packet, and then the agreement between the 3 entities.
Right.
But there are reporting requirements for EMS. And I think that Brian has been working with them to get more detail. I haven't been here for the history, but I think that has been part of the history. And Chief, I don't know if you can speak to that because you've been involved as well.
I think that Dr. Brown with the hospital, he's, he wasn't here last time with any of that.
Yeah.
He searched some of the same things And he was pretty forthcoming in conversation. That's gonna be something to look at and make sure
Mhm.
that is way more on top of it.
Okay. It's only money. That's all. It's don't have, okay, all right.
I move to approve EMS agreement, and authorize the city manager to execute the document.
Second.
Second then, okay, motion and second, all in favor? All opposed, none, thank you. Item 15, discussion and any necessary action regarding updates to the personal policy.
So what this is, and you can see in your packet, I believe when it was last updated, this phrase was inadvertently left out of 1608. And that phrase is not only CD, so to do random drug, it's in regards to random drug testing. Any CDL, anybody who holds a CDL is driving, right, on behalf of the city, is subject to random drug testing. I mean, tech stock, I mean, same thing, right? But we also had a phrase in there, any safety sensitive positions. And so that phrase was left out and we need to put it back in because we have people that are employed in safety sensitive positions, but may not have their CDL. And so we want to include, I think we want to include them in that.
Yeah.
And there's other provisions by which we, will trigger, if there's an accident, I mean, that will trigger a drug test.
Oh, yeah.
So if we have an accident with a vehicle, or just, if there's an accident, it doesn't involve a vehicle, but a supervisor believes, has suspicion that there was drugs involved, we can do that. We can do a drug test at that point too.
Well, I know when I was in the highway patrol side here, that and they still do it, been doing it, but they would do random drug testing with troopers all over the state. And however they did the drawing, all I know is that if your number and name come up, your sergeant would call you and they'd say, hey, Bob, you need to, we go to Brownwood. You need to go to Brownwood right now. And we knew, I mean, it wasn't the case, well, I need to, no, you turn your car around. They wanted it done right then. And I think almost the 40 years I worked these roads, I probably wouldn't, my name did come up maybe 3 times. But it just wasn't, but that's the only way you can keep an accountability on everybody.
Yeah.
You've got to know where they're at. So, yeah.
Well, right, I mean, it's a serious business, I mean, that we do out there, I mean, some, we've got guys down in a hole and, there's a lot of safety, things that have to be looked at, and so we need everybody fully capable when they're on the job, and it's their safety.
That's right.
But, for
And
their
there's
safety.
gonna be
as well.
people and lawyers asking, what did you do? What did he, they wanna know that, so, yeah. Most assuredly.
I move to approve update to the personnel policy.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed. 16, discuss and any necessary action regarding Texas gas service rate decrease and associated ordinance.
So you got the information there. Essentially, I mean, if I were to boil this down and paraphrase it, you guys have read through these pages. Essentially what they've done is they've redefined the service area. And so in so doing, they extrapolate that cost and there's been a rate decrease. And so you can see the details that is in that exhibit B. I know you guys had more information in your packet, but really kind of boils down in exhibit B. So it is a decrease and this is what we do, when there's a rate change and we bring it to you all.
Randy?
I move to approve ordinance 2023-04 as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? None opposed, all right. Item 17, discussion and any necessary action regarding approval of ordinance 2023-01, repealing and replacing ordinance 2022-12, establishing a general fee schedule for the city of Breckenridge, and this will be the second reading of it.
So this is just, you guys have already discussed it, we brought it to you, you had some questions, I believe, and I did answer some, this is just the second reading.
You make a motion then?
I move to approve ordinance 2023-01, repealing and replacing ordinance 2022-12, establishing a general fee schedule for the city of Breckenridge.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed, all right. Item 18, discussion and any necessary action to adopt resolution 2023-04, awarding a professional service engineering contract for a 2023 CDBG downtown revitalization grant.
So if you remember last month, we, well, let me back up. This is something that we competed for last year. And we were just under the line of making it.
Yeah.
So what we did is we're starting that process over again. And so last month, you guys awarded that contract to public management for the administration of the grant. And so this time, this is the engineering services. So we had 5 engineers that submitted proposals, and they were scored, and it was close. There were 3 of us, Commissioner Mercer, myself, and the city secretary. And the top score you can look at, we do have, I think they were in your packet, and we do have printouts here, all the submissions. If you wanted to look through those or you have any questions, but the high score was Jacob and Martin.
Question on this grant, is it set in stone what this grant is gonna be for, like
Yeah,
so we can't like
it was,
do a different portion?
yeah, because then it would have been a much, I don't know that we could, because the reason why we were able to turn around so quickly and reapply is we just used the same project. And that, as a reminder, that project is basically sidewalk improvements at Rose and Elm. And what that does, I mean, I think as I've been here, I mean, I know there's other projects that I think other people would like to see, but what this does, all the sidewalks, except for that one, have been improved around, the downtown area and around the courthouse. And so that kind of closes the loop there. It promotes a more walkable area. Parking is an issue, and it's right there, that parking. I think parking lots are there. So it helps with that. But yeah, it is set in stone at this point. So so just as a reminder, I mean, this is basically, we go out for a request for qualifications. So it's not, when you have professional services, they're not giving a proposal, they're giving their qualifications. So the action here today, after the committee has said, okay, this is the top scorer, based on this criteria that you have in your packet, then the motion that we need today is to authorize the city manager to then negotiate that contract and get it executed.
Have a motion on that?
Move to approve resolution 2023-04, selecting Jacob and Martin as the engineering firm and authorize the city manager to negotiate the contract for 2023 CDBG downtown revitalization grant.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, all right. Item 19, discussion and any necessary action regarding a change order to the AMI meter replacement project.
So you guys know this is the ARPA funding, and it was fun. You guys selected advanced meter program to do, and which is great. I think it's going to be great for the city. We do have Joe Mangrum here from EHT. You guys have already done one change order, and that added 10,620 to the contract amount of 1,298,678 and 53 cents. So that contract amount now stands at $13,092.98. This change order will extend the time 30 days and will increase the contract amount by $34,399. I'm going to let him give you the details. And if you have any questions, either he or I can answer those questions.
Commission, my name is Joe Mangrum. I'm a project engineer with DHT. I've been working on this meter project from the get-go. We are very close to wrapping it up. Essentially, this change order is a reconciliation of the original bid quantities and the final survey found in the field sizes, verified meters that the city has. It turns out there are about 300 less than were on the original list. This has been a learning curve for the city as they've worked through years of, challenges in the record keeping. And I think once this project will be done, which, will be in March, the city will have a very good accounting of the water meters in the ground, and then using these radio read AMI meters moving forward, I think will be a really good solution for the city.
So they say, so what I'd like to say is, you put it very nicely, but every challenge is an opportunity. And I think part of the challenge was, and we still have, is really understanding the inventory of what we have in the field for our water, wastewater, even our streets, which we're working on and bringing back to you. But so the silver lining then is, this is what we thought we had, but this is what we really had. And it took a lot of trial and error. Staff has been working with the contractor, resolving those, but that's why there was that discrepancy. But one thing I just wanted to point out is, it did highlight that deficiency, if you will, but the good news is that we're recognizing that and we're bringing this to you, but we're bringing other things that are going to help address that as well going forward.
You say we had about 300 meters less than what we thought we did, is that what you're saying?
Right, from the original at the beginning of this project, 6 months ago, the city produced a list of here are our meters, provided that to the contractor, they went out, and as they systematically went through the system replacing them, there were some on that list that they could not find, or, and so when it came down to it, and over the last, month or two, the city's been working really closely with going out and kind of, resolving those, issues in that list, and it's come down to there's about 300 that were on that list that, who knows where they came from, or they were duplicates or something, but, and so there's actually a $54,000 deduct in this change order that is, refunding back those smaller meters. Yeah, and so, but then there's also, obviously the larger meters are more expensive, and so they're, adding some larger meters, 1 inch and a half, 2 inch, 4 inch. But actually reducing the total amount of 5/8 inch meters by that 168. And then even the city is pursued over the last few weeks, and this change order includes throughout the system, they looked at some of the larger 1 inch and inch and a half meters that really should be 5/8 inch. And so this includes the contractor that those have not been changed out yet. Instead of changing out like 1.5 inches to a residential house that does not need 1.5 inches, they'll be adapting that down to a 5/8. And that actually benefits the customer as well, because the base rate, will be higher for 1.5 inch or 2 inch meters.
Right.
And so,
Well, we've been needing to get a grip on the water for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
And
This is the start.
we just get all the leaks fixed, we'll be doing great.
okay, and so that's what this change order covers, is really it's a quantity reconciliation here at the end of the project. And this is identified as the final change order, so we do not anticipate coming back for any additional change orders.
So, so that project completion date then, instead of February 11th, it's March 13th. To get that finalized. Just as an FYI, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but full disclosure and transparency, this project, we didn't budget the project. And so we're hoping we have we can find, some, I think we can cover it, but we will have to be coming back to you and just letting you know that. And once we get everything ironed out, we'll be coming back with an accounting of what that delta is.
Any questions on the change order?
Again, it's just money. It's money. Have a motion on that, please.
I move to approve staff recommendations regarding the change order to the AMI meter replacement project.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed. Thank you. Item 20. Discussion and any necessary action regarding BEDC contract with the Breckenridge Chamber of Commerce.
So this is, I see David here and I'll let him, if there's any questions or anything, if he wants to speak to this. This is a contract that we have had with, that the BEDC has had with the chamber. And so they're recommending that they haven't changed that price that they're paying for their admin help for several years. And so that is the increase here. The BEDC is obviously paying for that through the asset that they get from the city, and they're just bringing this to us. Do you want to add to that, David?
This is just simply in our bylaws, we ask you for approval for any contracts that we enter into, and so this has just been a long-standing contract with the chamber.
Yeah. Any questions? Motion then?
I move to approve the BEDC contract with the Breckenridge Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you. Any requests for the next time around, next commission meeting, they put on there to talk about? Nothing.
No.
We're adjourned at 6:42 p.m. Thank all of y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Hey, come on. How are you?
Oh, my God, I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.